Good morning, everyone! I am Ferdi Salvador, sitting in for Paula de Rosario. We bring you the news you need to stay ahead.
Happy Tuesday, beautiful people. I'm Anne Asis-Carilo. Let's make your morning extra special with some laughter, great company, good vibes, and unstoppable energy.
And I'm Monique Tuzon. Your mornings are mo fun with us. Join us in the next hour for stories and conversations that matter. So, this beautiful Tuesday, we have a doctor in the house.
Oh, I am excited to talk about that because for the first time ever, we'll be talking about sexual health in the morning.
It's very important, especially in the morning.
Of course, some sexual healing. Ayan na.
We did do our song earlier today.
I know. Maybe tomorrow.
Yes, definitely.
Yes. But it's going to be an exciting show. And of course, we got lots of useful news for our viewers this morning, right, Mo?
Yes, and we'll check on the weather for now. So let's see what's going to happen this Tuesday. So be ready for possible rains later today. Now, despite storm-free projections, Pag-asa says the easterlies and the northeast monsoon will cause some downpour in parts of the country. The northeast monsoon affects most parts of Luzon, including Metro Manila. We should expect some light rains with cloudy skies. The easterlies is affecting eastern Visayas and the rest of the country, where we can look forward to some scattered rains and humid conditions. Sunset will be at 5:46 p.m.
Now, we hope you gassed up last night because another round of fuel price hike is in effect today. Diesel prices will go up by 90 centavos per liter. Gasoline and kerosene prices will increase by 80 centavos a liter. The Energy Department cites high demand and the production cuts of OPEC and Russia as the reasons behind the latest fuel price increase.
Thousands flocked yesterday to Carino Grandstand for the Iglesia ni Cristo's National Rally for Peace. Hannity has more.
Prominent politicians joined the Iglesia ni Cristo rally on Monday, echoing calls for unity and good governance. The INC summoned its million-strong membership across the country to reject efforts to impeach Vice President Sara Duterte, supposedly in support of President Marcos's own stand. Senator Robin Padilla did not mince words when he stated his opposition to the VP's impeachment.
Napaka-plastic ko naman kung sasabihin ko po sa inyo, pag yan ay umakyat sa Senado, mag-iisip pa kayo kung ano iboboto ko. Definitely. Ngayon pa lang po, alam nyo na po.
Padilla made the statement despite Senate President Cheese Escudero's reminder that senators should avoid commenting on impeachment issues to preserve their impartiality as potential judges in an impeachment court. Padilla, a known endorsee of the INC during the elections, immediately aligned himself with their calls for unity.
Hindi po nagbabago ang aking suporta sa Pangulo at sa pangalawang Pangulo. Dahil bilang ako po ay uniteam.
But Senator Bato de la Rosa took a more cautious stance, stating he would need to study the complaints first.
In deference to the impeachment court that is still to be organized, established by the Senate as an institution, right now, may sabihin ko kagad kung ano yung aking boto dahil nga hindi ko pa nabasa yung articles of impeachment. Paano laman noon? Kung aakyat niya sa Senado, pag-aralan ko, then I will give my decision, my vote.
Senator Francis Tolentino also attended the rally.
Ito ang kailangan natin sa pagbubukas ng taong ngayon, 2025, yung ipakita, ipadama sa ating mga kababayan ang pangangailangan ng una, kapayapaan at pagkakaisa bilang sambayanan.
Tolentino added, unity is important, especially between the executive and legislative branches.
Walang mangyayari sa atin, di ba? So, dapat siguro talagang magkaugnay-ugnay.
Meanwhile, Manila Mayor Honey Lacuna assured the public that the local government was hands-on in coordinating the event, while stressing that her attendance was non-political.
Kami po ang nahingan po ng koordinasyon ng ating pong mga kapatid na sa gayon po ay maging payapa po itong ginagawa nating National Rally for Peace.
Also in attendance was her former ally and now political opponent Isko Moreno.
Kami ay nakikiisa sa panawagan ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos at ng ka-Eduardo B. Manalo na magkaroon ng kapayapaan at pagkakaisa sa ating bansa.
Senator Amy Marcos, who was unable to attend, also sent a message of support to the INC. She praised the peace rally as a symbol of freedom of expression. As early as 9 a.m., Malacanang had instructed government agencies to ensure the safety and peacefulness of the rally. The palace further underscored the importance of unity in tackling national challenges. The atmosphere at the rally was relatively peaceful, with nearly 5,500 police deployed to ensure security. By around 5:25 p.m., the program concluded with an estimated 1.58 million attendees. Hannah T., Bilyonaryo News Channel.
The National Bureau of Investigation has wrapped up its probe on Vice President Sara Duterte's supposed threat against the first couple and the House Speaker. The Justice Department says prosecutors will investigate the evidence gathered by the NBI. The agency says VP Sara made the threats in the middle of the Quadcom investigation on her office's confidential funds. She allegedly spoke to someone to kill President Marcos, First Lady Lisa Araneta Marcos, and House Speaker Martin Romualdez in case something bad happens to her.
Depending on the outcome, we will be able to make a recommendation whether to have it considered filed already before the department and or to return it to the NBI if there's a need to build up the case further and to add to the evidence that they have. But this is subject to evaluation. The NBI and the DOJ are working closely together, our prosecutors, to ascertain the evidence that is on hand.
Once the evaluation is confirmed to be enough to warrant preliminary investigation, that's the time that the preliminary investigation proper would be initiated.
Over 30 individuals were arrested on the second day of the national gun ban. Among those arrested include an appointed government official from the Bangsamoro Ministry and a soldier. Around 80 firearms were confiscated, with most of these coming from Central Luzon. The poll body is seeking to set up over 1,400 checkpoints across the nation. The National Police also reminds its personnel to ensure transparency during its inspection.
Pakiusap natin sa ating mga police, let's say sa gabi, wag namang itutok yung mga kanilang mga flashlight sa mga mata ng ating mga kababayan na dadaan doon. Siyempre, masakit po yun sa mata. May nagtatanong din po sa atin, ma'am, pwede po namin kuhanan ng video habang kami ay ni-inspect? Wala pong problema. Kasi kung sa tingin niyo po magiging secure kayo at magiging safe po kayo habang dumadaan na ini-inspect po niya, maganda po yun. In the spirit of transparency.
In the U.S., public safety officials in Los Angeles are bracing as dangerously high winds are expected to resume today and the next few days. Dry Santa Ana winds of up to 80 to 112 kilometers per hour are forecasted by the National Weather Service. Homes on Mandeville Canyon Road near the Palisades fire are on high alert. While this could potentially hamper efforts to extinguish two stubborn wildfires, authorities assure they are prepared.
As we've mentioned, the National Weather Service is predicting close to hurricane force level winds, and so we're making urgent preparations. My top priority and the priority of everyone else is to do everything we can to protect lives. As these winds approach, LA City firefighters and firefighters from across the county, state, and nation, and even overseas, are in a proactive and strategic posture to save lives. Firefighting resources from LAFD and fire departments from all over are positioned in strategic holding locations. DWP is deploying water tankers to augment water supply for firefighters.
Severe fire weather conditions will continue through Wednesday. Please be assured that all fire departments and all law enforcement agencies in the area will be prepared. The anticipated winds, combined with low humidities and low fuel moistures, will keep the fire threat in all of Los Angeles County critical.
At least 20 people have died since the fires began last Tuesday. More than 24 people are reported missing and more than 12,000 structures were destroyed.
U.S. President-elect Donald Trump has a word for California officials as fires continue to blaze in Los Angeles. Trump called the officials incompetent and blamed them for, quote, one of the worst catastrophes in the history of the United States. Meanwhile, Governor Gavin Newsom tells Trump not to politicize the tragedy. He also invited Trump to California to see the damages himself.
Hundreds of Filipinos living in Southern California are in need of help. The Philippine consulate in Los Angeles says over 100 of our kababayans have lost their homes due to the raging wildfires. The Philippine government gave them $200 as initial aid. Consul General Adelio Cruz tells Bilyonaryo News Channel they are prioritizing the welfare of newly arrived Filipinos in LA. In a statement, President Marcos has offered his sympathies to the Filipino community affected by the wildfire.
We're pretty confident that we will be able to help them find new jobs and new places to stay. Those who have lived quite a long while in Los Angeles have gone through a lot of previous brush fires, wildfires, earthquakes, floods. So they know how to take care of themselves and prepare for any eventuality, any catastrophe. It's the newly arrived Filipinos that we are actually taking care of and concerned about.
Royal couple Prince Harry and Meghan Markle extend their hand to the victims of the LA wildfires. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex visited evacuation centers in Pasadena to give out free meals from the world's central kitchen. Other reports say the two also opened their home in Montecito for evacuees. Meanwhile, donations poured in at a donation center in Arcata, California, where clothing, water, and food came from thousands of donors. This is only one of the many relief efforts in California, which proves disasters can bring out the best in humanity.
The worst part about the fire was my dad's school is getting burned down. Kids cannot go to school. Kids and grown-ups are homeless. They don't have anywhere to live.
You know, he's been watching this on the TV with me as well. And he's been asking what's going on, what's up with the fire. And then today we woke up, the air was okay. And we were like, let's go help. We have to, because we could easily be the next victims.
I just needed to come out and do something to help people. Sorry, I feel so bad for the people. So just wanted to come help somebody. That's all I can do. I can't give a bunch of money, but I can come and give my time.
Meanwhile, King Charles meets a 94-year-old Holocaust survivor ahead of his visit to Poland later this month for the 80th anniversary of the Auschwitz liberation. Manfred Goldberg is among the survivors who shared their experiences at Buckingham Palace on Monday. King Charles lit a candle in memory of those who died in the Holocaust and more recent genocides. The king also met with 3 organizations who are making sure the experiences of Holocaust survivors are passed on in years to come.
Now in sports, former NBA champion Dwight Howard is once again reinforcing a Philippine team for a tournament in Dubai later this month. Howard officially announced his return to Strong Group Athletics for the 34th Dubai International Basketball Championship. The tournament is scheduled for January 24 to February 2. SGA also features NBA veterans DeMarcus Cousins, former Gilas big man Andre Blatch, and 3-time UAAP champion Ange Kwame. Strong Group is seeking redemption in the Dubai Tilt after a heartbreaking runner-up finish in last year's edition. From the hard court now to the boxing ring, the Gypsy King Tyson Fury says he's hanging up his gloves again. Fury announced his retirement a month after losing a rematch against Ukraine's Oleksandr Usyk. Fury, though, has called it quits on multiple occasions, most recently in 2022.
Hi everybody, I'm going to make this short and sweet. I'd like to announce my retirement from boxing. It's been a blast. I've loved every single minute of it, and I'm going to end with this. Dick Turpin wore a mask. God bless everybody. See you on the other side. Get up!
Now, if Fury makes good on his word, he retires with a record of 34 wins with 24 knockouts, only 2 losses, courtesy of Alexander Usyk and a draw.
In entertainment news, American singer and songwriter Carrie Underwood set to perform at Donald Trump's presidential inauguration on January 20th. The Presidential Inauguration Committee spokesperson confirmed the Grammy Award-winning country singer will be taking the stage to sing America the Beautiful. The American Idol winner will be joined on stage by United States Naval Academy, Glee Club, and the Armed Forces Chorus.
Now, up next, the topic of gender affirmation might be taboo for some, but this conversation about sex and gender, which affects thousands of Filipinos, is not any less important. When we return, the doctor is in to talk about gender affirmation care, its risks, as well as its benefits. Stay tuned. It's a beautiful day. We'll be right back. And welcome back. You're still watching It's a Beautiful Day. Gender-affirming interventions help transgender and non-binary people align their bodies with their gender identity. This includes hormone replacement therapy, surgeries, and psychological support. This morning, we have sexual and gender health doctor, Dr. Deano Reyes, to help us understand these procedures. It's a beautiful day, Doc Deano. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to see you again, Doc Deano, and we have an interesting conversation for our viewers this morning. First and foremost, Doc Deano, can you tell us what is hormone replacement therapy and how does it actually work?
All right, so hormone replacement therapy basically boils down to certain people are born into a gender they don't identify with. So even though their identity is like male or female, their body produces the hormones of what the gender they're born into is, right?
Okay.
So we need to be able to give them the hormones that matches their identity so that they will also physically change, right? So if you are born a male and then you identify as a female, we gotta give you estrogen, basically, right? And if you are born a female and then you identify as a male, we gotta give you testosterone. So pretty simple, actually, when you boil it down like that.
But do these therapies, when you give it to them, do they have any side effects or drawbacks?
Of course, there are side effects with all types of medical intervention. So that's why supervision from a licensed medical professional is very important, right? So that we can minimize the risks. And our job really is to make sure that we keep them in physiological ranges to keep our patients safe. Right?
Now, I think it's interesting that you said under a supervision of a medical professional, because I think a lot of people here in the Philippines, because it's not accessible, they do it at home. Now, Doc, can you talk about the risks of that?
Yeah, most definitely. So when it's inaccessible in situations like in our country, a lot of people are forced to find ways that they can access this healthcare by themselves. So we call it DIY or do-it-yourself hormones. The problem is without the medical supervision, the dosages might not match your body. What I tell my patients is that every single person has a unique body, so the dose of somebody else might not be appropriate for you. So I also tell my patients that the most important part of hormone replacement or gender-affirming hormone therapy is actually not the hormones, it's the monitoring part. Because that's the way that we can keep you safe, so we can see it a mile away if there's any risks, right, or dangers. And what are those usual risks? So for transgender women, we gotta look at their potential for VTE, that's venous thromboembolism, strokes in the young, heart attacks. Same for men when their blood thickens. So transgender men, we also check for how thick their blood is. Then of course, there's the mood swings and the potential other imbalances. So my job is to keep everybody safe and happy.
Right.
This is really important because here I notice, when in certain communities, obviously, I have to be very careful about, putting labels. However, it's prevalent. I mean, they buy it sometimes over the counter or, in pharmacies that don't, accept regulations or whatever. But before that, Doc, do you have to go to psychological therapy to say, hey, I'm ready to get my mind and body, in sync?
So, for your first point, it's kind of scary how accessible these things are out there, especially with the advent of online selling.
Yes.
You can buy anything online with like zero to no regulation, no prescription needed, right? So, gender-affirming care has been a long process, even outside the country, in like the US, where I trained for it. And before, there was a need for psychological clearance and stuff like that. But since even the specialty of psychiatry is very undermanned, there are very few psychiatrists all over the world, it placed too many boundaries or obstacles for the patients to get the care that they need easily. So now, people like me, gender-affirming care doctors, we don't necessarily need to have a psych clearance. We can assess them. We have tools to guide us. When do I do psych referrals? It's when I have patients who aren't set or it's not clear to them yet what their actual identity is. So we call it like flip-floppy under gender. They're not yet sure. So in those cases, you need a little bit more help, a little bit more guidance to be able to really help these people process and understand what they really need, what do they really want.
Yeah, but Doc, HRT is not only for, gender affirmation, right?
Yes.
Because, for example, it's also for those that actually need it. When you go older, right, you need to replace certain hormones.
This is
we're not on that level, okay?
Well, Anne was talking about it actually earlier this morning.
I was talking with the Doc Dino about it and how I was comparing some symptoms that I feel with the symptoms that some of my friends are feeling, talking about perimenopause and everything. There is this, what do you call this? People kasi think na hormone replacement, it's just for the LGBTQ, right? And for men. And very rarely do women admit that they need hormone therapy. How do you address this problem, Doc Dino?
So, in the history of medications like this is also kind of like a roller coaster because it's fairly new, right? But what we're finding out is that for men and women, their hormones are super integral to their overall health. It's not just about all the downstairs stuff, all the private stuff, right?
Yes.
There are testosterone and estrogen receptors in every single cell of your body, and it's important for your metabolism, for your aging, for your mood, right? So as you get older, you do lose these very integral hormones, and that's what we can also do. So apart from being a gender-affirming care doctor, a transgender health doctor, I do a lot of testosterone replacement for men who start needing it, and hormone replacement for women in their menopause, or even when they're younger and they have hormone imbalances. So it's all about just fixing this very, very crucial part of your life that people, especially here in the Philippines, don't know how important it is.
Right, because I'm really interested in doing it with my tender age of 35, just like you, Anne.
Same, Ferdi.
I mean, I'm really thinking about doing it. It really helps out with your metabolism, your energy, even hair growth.
My patients swear by it.
Right?
So drop by. Be happy to help you
So
guys.
for those interested, Doc, typically let's talk about how much it will cost to do HRT.
So on average, my patients spend about maybe 3,000 pesos for the labs, and then on average, maybe around 5,000 to 6,000 pesos will last you 10 weeks, more or less. Yeah. It depends on how in-depthly you want to go inside, because really we can look at like things down to very micro levels and adjust and tweak it to really maximize your output. So I'm happy to adjust for my patients. I'm happy to work with people's budgets in mind. And yeah, we really just gauge it on how well and how happy you want to be and do our best to help you achieve it.
Doc Dino, are there a lot of doctors here in the Philippines with this specialty?
Really, unfortunately, it's an underserviced health sector, right? Which is why I'm super passionate about it, because a lot of Filipinos need this type of healthcare and they don't have easy access to it.
Yes. Doc, what's the pre and post care for HRT?
Really just some basic labs. We check your hormones, we check your blood, liver, kidney, your lipid profile, and we just make sure that all of those are within normal ranges.
How long does it take? Like, for example, I go to you today, you assess me, you assess my blood, and then typically
our first session usually involves me getting to know you, getting to know your goals, understanding what you want to happen, and then we do labs on the same day, probably get it by tomorrow, and then we can start then. Yeah.
Okay, and then it lasts what? It's just a one-time thing, or
so
quarterly?
Yeah. So HRT, testosterone replacement, hormone replacement, these are usually lifelong treatments, right? Because for non-gender confirming individuals, transgender individuals, when you take it out, they will snap back to how they were before. But for cisgendered individuals, really, we're treating a symptom of your body not creating enough of it anymore. So same, we are giving you something that you're lacking. So as long as we give it to you, you have enough.
What about pre and post operation care?
Yeah.
What do clients normally need after or pre?
So usually what we call it either top surgery or bottom surgery.
Yes.
Okay.
Top surgery, a lot easier, a lot more accessible. Bottom surgery, a lot more difficult. But what we do is we just tell our patients, you gotta pause your actual hormones, the hormone
This
intake.
is for SRS, right?
Yeah, SRS. But we call it now gender-affirming surgeries.
There you go. You see
Yeah,
all the
yeah,
terms.
Yeah.
So,
we gotta know.
yeah, we need to take a little break from the hormones because the hormones can also affect your blood and your blood
Right,
vessels. But we usually just put those back once you've healed. And it usually just like a month, and then you're good to go. Yeah.
Now, what challenges, Doc, are you guys facing? Because this is such a specialized field. So can you tell us what challenges you guys are facing moving forward, and what can we as like a whole, maybe like the government, can also help and make it better?
So the way I got into this was because I had these influx of patients coming in asking for this type of healthcare, and it wasn't part of my training. It wasn't part of my training in med school or afterwards. So at first I said, I'm sorry, I don't know how to do this, but I kind of felt I had this responsibility. So I told them, can you give me some time? I promise I'll learn, and then once I know, I'll help you guys. So I had to learn in WPATH, the World Professional Association for Transgender Health, and that's where I picked up these skills, and then afterwards, that's when I was able to give it to my patients. So the problem is how inaccessible it is for even doctors to get this training locally, right? And that means since doctors don't have that skill or that knowledge, the patients don't have access for it. Even words and terms like transgender aren't built into our system or into our legal system. So it's a multi-layered problem, and we really have a little bit of work to do to get to a place that is inclusive and welcoming of people in the LGBTQ.
We're so serious, guys.
I
We're
know.
like intently listening.
Sorry.
But Doc Dino, let's talk about mental health care naman, supporting the mental health of your patients, because I'm sure some of your patients have gone through childhood emotional trauma, right? And some women, you know what, I read this article, let me just share, that you know how women who are experiencing perimenopause and menopause explain that there's something going on in their heads, like their brains aren't functioning as well when they were younger. There was this doctor who showed like an MRI of the brain and showed the matter in the brain and how it changes as you age. Nag-iiba yung color. So there's this color and she was explaining it. So it's true. There are changes happening in the brain talaga as you age, right? So it causes some emotional distress, I guess, depression, mood swings, and everything. So how do you support the mental health of your patients?
Okay, so for my transgender patients, really minority trauma is a universal experience, right? So part of transitioning is not just the hormones or the physical or medical transitioning. We also guide and coach them through the social transitioning because that is a difficult process on its own. So we facilitate mental health counseling for them, which I can do as a gender-affirming doctor. We also do counseling with their family because it is a community thing. It's not just one person going through it. Especially parents or people from the older generation, they come from a different time, different words. So they do need a lot of support and help to understand what this is and why it's important for their kids and loved ones to go through it, right? So we do all of that together. And hormones, like I mentioned earlier, is involved with everything in your body, including mood, including, a lot of men are misdiagnosed as depressed and don't respond well to antidepressants or other medications like that. Turns out it's a hormone problem. Midlife crisis, when you actually match you
need hormone replacement.
Or a motorbike.
But Doc, what about in the Philippines? Do gender affirming procedures have a space in our law, or is it regulated by the government, recognized by the government?
So right now, like I said, it's really not even in our laws. So you can't make rules on things that aren't even defined, right? So it's very loose. Even the hormones that we give, they are off-label uses to be able to help our patients, right? So don't worry, it's a problem all over the world. As a society, we're beginning to understand more of these nuances about gender, right? So every step forward is a good step. One step forward is like worth it. Right?
Yes. Doc Dino, how can we reach you if we have more questions about sexual health?
So you can reach me at my clinic. It's called HARA. It's a holistic gender and sexual health clinic where we can deal with anything related to gender and to sexual health. You can reach us on our website, haraclinic.ph, and you can find me on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and X, right? So yeah,
there you
feel
go.
free to visit.
Thank you
that was
so
such a
much.
great topic.
Thank you for your time, sexual and gender health doctor, Doc Deano Reyes, ladies and gentlemen.
So we've got more stories for you later on the show. We take a look at the impact of technological advancements in terms of job losses. Don't go anywhere. It's a beautiful day. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching It's a Beautiful Day. Now we have some serious news to cover. Some senators call on the government to take immediate action as the Chinese Coast Guard's monster ship was once again seen in the country's exclusive economic zone. Senate President pro tempore Jinggoy Estrada says there must be a proactive, united, and sustained approach to protect our sovereignty. He adds the law is in the country's side after an arbitral ruling in 2016 over China's claims in the South China Sea. Senator Risa Hontiveros, meantime, says the palace must file a new case in an international court, saying Beijing ships will only keep coming back if we don't take action.
Meanwhile, U.S. President Joe Biden praised President Marcos's actions amid China's aggressive actions in disputed waters. In a trilateral meeting with Japan, Biden says he praised the country's calm response despite China's bullying. The leaders of U.S., the Philippines, and Japan have agreed to strengthen its relations on economy, technology, and maritime cooperation. President Marcos says he is confident the country will maintain its good relations with the U.S. and Japan.
The position of the House of Representatives Committee on Appropriations chairperson is now declared vacant as Ako Bicol Party List Representative Zaldi Co steps down. Zandro Ochona reports.
Session resumed.
Ako Bicol Party List Representative Zaldi Co stepped down from his position as chairman of the House Appropriations Committee, citing health concerns. In a statement, Co expressed his gratitude to the majority for accepting his decision. He said his decision to step down was due to pressing health concerns, and the demanding nature of his role has taken its toll and would prioritize seeking medical attention. During the first session, after the House resumes its session this year, Senior Deputy Majority Leader Sandro Marcos moved that the chairmanship of the Appropriations Committee be declared vacant.
Mr. Speaker, I move to declare vacant the position of chairperson of the Committee on Appropriations.
There's a motion. The chair hears no objection. Said motion is carried. Session suspended.
When the session resumed, Speaker Martin Romualdez delivered his opening speech. Romualdez said the House will hold oversight hearings to ensure that the people's money serves the people's needs. The House will investigate issues on smuggling and hoarding, inflating food prices. They will also look into the 206 billion pesos disallowed expenditures by the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines, as well as ensure energy reforms that lower electricity costs. They will also investigate the 11.18 billion pesos worth of expired medicines and underutilized PhilHealth funds.
And we will scrutinize the alleged misuse of confidential funds, for no peso must go unaccounted for. Let this be our promise. Public trust is sacred, and this House will never betray it. Sa mga umatake sa atin para tumigil tayo sa mga investigasyon, may mensahe tayo sa kanila. Itutuloy natin ang trabaho na inaatang sa atin ng mamamayan. Hindi tayo atras sa anumang laban para sa bayan.
The session ended with no member of the House replacing Co for his position. Zandro Ochona, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
An estimated 23% of current jobs will undergo transformation by 2030 due to automation and emerging technologies. The story from our reporter, Soojin Kim.
Graphic design is one of the industries taking a direct hit from artificial intelligence and creative automation tools. With AI now generating visual content at scale, the demand for traditional graphic artists is shrinking. Graphic designer Shala Yu added that many companies now rely on generative AI platforms and AI-powered tools such as Canva and Adobe. The shift in demand has forced graphic artists to adapt to a rapidly evolving industry.
It's concerning because it means less jobs for people like me. Actually, at the moment, my peers, they don't call themselves graphic artists anymore because we had to branch out to a more in-demand forms like short-form reels and illustration.
But graphic design isn't the only sector feeling the impact of automation. According to the Future of Jobs Report 2025 by the World Economic Forum, the global labor market is set to undergo massive changes in the next 5 years. While 92 million jobs are expected to disappear, 78 million jobs will emerge across innovative sectors by 2030. Labor Secretary Bienvenido Laguesma says the Marcos administration is addressing this.
Technological advancements will certainly have an impact or an effect in terms of job losses. Just to emphasize, early on in the administration of President Marcos Jr., there is a recognition that there should be any really deliberate efforts, concerted efforts to address skills gap.
Tech skills such as big data and cloud computing are in high demand. Fields such as data analysis, artificial intelligence, and cybersecurity are expected to drive the greatest opportunities. As AI continues to proliferate, the demand for experts in this technology is rapidly increasing. And with companies becoming more data-driven, the need for data scientists and analysts is soaring.
Data is the new oil or the new gold. Kaya if you're able to extract a lot of business value from the data that you have, then you're in a good spot, especially if you're a data practitioner in this time. It's really one of the backbones of a business-driven decision-making strategy in any organization.
With technology advancements, nearly 40% of workers' current skills will require updating. Fields such as IT and cybersecurity are critical areas for upskilling.
We have a massive gap between the demand of cybersecurity professionals that we have in our pool versus the ones that are being trained. Hence why DICT is investing heavily and promoting heavily courses in schools that introduce cybersecurity as a formal education.
Unemployment, underemployment, and employment will always be a serious concern. The DOLE has been very actively pursuing or working with various stakeholders, including companies and education institutions, to address skills gaps and to enhance competitiveness vis-a-vis emerging industries, as well as yung nakita ng mga declining industries. And
the Labor Department is actively working with stakeholders to bridge the skills gap and enhance workforce competitiveness. Lagesma also underscored the programs under TESDA.
We align existing training modules, improve ones to meet the requirements of the business enterprises. And the new enterprise-based and education training law allows actually better enterprise-based collaboration and through apprenticeships and internship.
To address the training gap, 80% of companies plan to invest in training programs in the next 3 years. And even with the rise of automation, graphic designer Shala Yu remains optimistic.
I would say I'm optimistic. Kasi even though the traditional graphic design branch is declining, there are more avenue for us creatives to create. And even though AI is on the rise, there are still things na AI can't do. Parang we're still needed.
Sujin Kim, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
The spirit of Bayanihan is in full force in the City of Angels as a popular Filipino fast food chain offers help to the victims of the Los Angeles wildfires. That story when It's Beautiful Day returns.
Hello, welcome back. You're still watching It's a Beautiful Day. Now, it's not just people that are affected by the wildfires in LA, it's also animals. And donations are pouring in for animals rescued from the wildfires in Los Angeles. Now, aside from cats and dogs, horses, sheep, and goats were rescued from the inferno. Some of these horses are currently under the care of the Los Angeles Equestrian Center. A local animal wellness center is also taking care of dogs and cats affected by the wildfire.
I think this is a marathon, not a sprint. There's going to be more pets found, more pets injured with smoke inhalation and burns that we're going to start to discover as some of the fire recedes in certain areas. And I think the fire is still spreading. I mean, we don't have a lot of containment right now. So there are more people calling me concerned that they're going to be evacuated.
Now, y'all know I have such a soft spot for animals. So when I
Yes.
saw all these animals being rescued,
Yeah,
I was literally crying. And you know, it's not just
heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking,
Yes,
and
it
it's not
is.
just the domesticated one; it's the wild animals
Yes.
as well. And you
Yes.
can see there's like cheetahs, the deers. They don't have anywhere to go because their homes burned down as well.
It's
Yeah,
devastating because, you know, as you know, our world's so fragile at the moment. You know, climate change and all that. And then this tragedy just like wipes out a whole system in the hills,
And
right?
it's just really heartwarming to see all these people trying to save the animals
Yes.
as
I
well. Not
know.
just the human victims, right? But the animals. And I'm seeing all these reels where they were rescuing some dogs and some were even unconscious already and they were trying to
goodness.
revive the dogs.
I was
yeah,
literally
but
crying.
but then they wake up and then, you know, it just gives you that sense of hope that
Right.
there's faith in humanity renewed.
You're right. But
when you see that.
The mental anguish of just thinking about your house is on fire, you're trying to bring your children out of there,
Yeah,
your fur
yeah.
animal escapes just
Right.
Yes,
It's a
yes.
lot.
and then you don't know what's happening
Yeah,
to them if
it's
they're
crazy.
still with us or they've crossed over the Rainbow Bridge.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's just wow. I can't imagine.
It's crazy, and right now in Pasadena, the shelter over there, there's I think over 300 animals displaced. I think more than.
Oh my
So I
goodness.
think it's great that like local communities everywhere in the U.S. I think like Utah, Colorado, they're actually shipping the animals so they
Oh,
can make
that's
space
yeah,
in
yeah.
LA for those
Yeah.
animals. Because grabe, there's a lot of them, and it breaks my heart. But I'm glad the community is coming together.
Yes.
And speaking of coming together,
I know there's good news in adversity. Our
Yes.
kababayans are also bringing the spirit of bayanihan to LA. Take a look at this. The crew of a popular Filipino fast food chain are seen supporting the community by serving food to affected citizens and other people by the fires. Netizens praise this move as the uploaded clip has garnered over 248,000 likes on X, formerly known as Twitter. So I am proud of that.
Yes, proud to be
Love
Pinoy. And the
that.
bayanihan spirit is so alive wherever the
1000%.
Filipinos go,
Yes.
right?
We own
Helping
that.
each
We
other.
own that.
Yes,
Bayanihan,
that's
we own
true.
Facts. No, it's great to see a community come together. I mean, not just like for the animals, right? For the humans and just everybody, just
Yes.
helping everyone
Helping each
in
other.
any way they can.
Yes.
Halle Berry also, actually, I saw that online. She literally donated her whole closet. She said, I'm bringing all my
Yeah.
clothes for all the affected victims. It's just clothes. She can always
Yes.
get some.
And Angelina Jolie was caught coming from a grocery store, and somebody interviewed her, and she was buying groceries for the people that
Yeah.
are really close to her, have been affected by this the wildfires. Oh my goodness! Well, at
it's
least
so sweet.
again, this kind of thing brings humanity together.
Yes.
But I wish that it doesn't have to be this
I
way.
know. I hope. I hope someday we'll see this happening, not after a tragedy, but in like everyday life, people just really helping each other, right?
Yeah, because the after effect of this is going to be a long time.
Yes.
And a lot of
Yeah.
people are going to need help, jobs, shelter,
That's
food,
true, that's
medical. Yeah. Anyway, that is it for us. Tuesday, January 14th. I'm Ferdi Salvador sitting in for Paul De Rosario. Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm Anne Asis-Carilo. Always a pleasure sharing our mornings with you. Don't forget, wherever this day takes you, choose joy and spread kindness.
And I'm Monique Tuzon. May you all have a great Tuesday ahead. Join us again tomorrow at 7 a.m. only here on
It's a beautiful day!